Greetings to you, our viewing audience, and welcome to the Spice of Life variety show. Thank you for allowing us to come into your home, and we are praying that God would prosper you and your family. Now get your paper, your pen, and your pencil, and be ready to jot down our P.O. box, our email, or our fax number. We love you and we're concerned about you, and we would like to hear from you. And then we would also like to have a special thanks to our bishop and pastor, Bishop Charles E. Blake. Dr. Lewis.
Thank you, Pamela Webb. It is certainly a delight to be with you again.
Okay.
Today's show will be featuring the importance of fathers. And certainly this is part one of two shows where we will be discussing the importance of fathers. Miss Kelly Hill, who is the executive producer of a film entitled Daddy and Me, shared some important information during her filming of this particular film, and so we're going to view that for part one, and then on part two we will be back to discuss with our guests the importance of fathers. And just to quickly introduce those who are here with us, I am going to, we have Dolores Hill here, psychotherapist. We have Pamela Witt, child care provider. Mr. Larry Witt, her husband, who's an inspector, and then LaRonda Amos, who is a retired consultant. And these individuals, along with Pamela and myself, will share during part two of the importance of fathers. So I want you to sit back, we invite you to sit back and just really understand this is not a show to condemn anyone. It's only to serve as a motivation to strengthen the ties and the relationship between father and child, no matter how old the child may be. God bless you, and sit back and take notes. Thank you.
He's pretty good at hockey. He's a really good dad. He's nice. He's funny. But some of his jokes are rotten.
We just really talk. He take me out, and sometimes we play basketball with each other, like that.
How important do you think it is for kids to have a father?
Well, to me, it's very important because, like, if I didn't have a dad, I don't know, I'll be lost. I don't know.
Where do you think you would be without your dad?
Bad. I probably would have maybe flunked out of school and maybe probably pregnant while I was 16 and stuff like that. My dad was very supportive and, disciplinary.
He instilled in us trust, wisdom, honesty, all the key ingredients for a healthy life.
What did he teach you about men and what to look for in a husband?
Just witnessing my mother and father's relationship. If I can't have a man like my dad, I don't want one.
When you think of father absent, what images would you say come to mind?
Probably images of pain, images of frustration, images that prevent a child from knowing where they're headed, where they're going, what their future holds, how they see themselves. Images probably images of shadows, because people who don't have the input from both of their parents don't know themselves fully, and so they live in life somewhat in a shadow.
First are the number of children that I see today that, as a pastor, arrive at church and they don't have a daddy with them. And, my heart goes out. I see a little 3, 4, 5-year-old kid coming with his and mom taking along. And I know that in most of those cases, it's not just the dad's not there. His dad's not at home. That child probably never knew daddy.
I really see images of our children growing up without the strong love and support of men in their lives, and how powerful that is for a child. I mean, every child wants to point and say that that's my father, and they want that to be a regular, everyday experience. We have a problem of fathers in the lives of children, and it's most evident in African-American families, but it really is an American problem, and we need to think about it as that.
Fatherlessness in America is overwhelming. If you look at households with children under the age of 18, 27 million children go to bed tonight in a household without their father. If you factor that out, that's 40% of children under the age of 18.
You want me to tell you the whole story?
Yeah, tell us the story.
My mom had an affair with him.
she was 19 and he was 35, and he was married already and he had kids. And they had a short affair, and she became pregnant. She had me. She wanted to put me up for adoption because she didn't want kids, but my grandparents said they were going to take care of me.
I don't really recollect my father living in the house with us. I'm sure he must have, like maybe for the first few years, but I don't have a clear memory of that. But what's very vivid in my mind is, every Saturday or every, so many times a week, my dad would pop up. He would pull up in his car and we'd, be excited to see him. And sometimes we knew he was coming and we'd wait. And sometimes we didn't know, and it'd be a pleasant surprise.
When I was 2, my mom married this other man that I grew up thinking was my dad, but she never told me the truth. And then when I was 10, they got a divorce. And a couple of years later, my grandmother told me that wasn't my father. And my father was this other man that I don't remember ever meeting.
We moved away down south to Florida during my teenage years. I was devastated. And again, my father was an issue. I was like, well, how are we going to see our father? And that's not fair. And will he keep in touch? And how is he going to find us? And, we moved away and we never saw him again.
How did that make you feel? It made me feel really, I got really angry with my mom. And it put a big wall between us. That's still there. And it made me feel shocked and betrayed and really confused.
So she led you to your dad? Well, she was like, yeah. I said, my father, I just wanted to meet you guys and know who you are and complete the circle. My father passed away. And she was like, your father lives with me. Wow. He's been living here for 20 years, or almost 20 years.
How did you feel?
I was pissed. When he called, my thing was, oh, what happened? That was what I wanted to say. And the first thing that came out of my mouth was, where the have you been for almost 20 years? Let me hear it. I want to hear this one. And he was really quiet. And then he started spewing out just whatever he could to defend himself. Because what can you say? You can't say anything. But, you can't explain that away. Not to a child, who all they know is you got legs, you got feet, you got your health, you need to come find me. Whether I'm living with a new family or not, you have the freedom to, walk the land and catch a plane and do whatever you have to do to get a hold of your kids. And I think that parents underestimate what children really understand.
So if you could say one final thing, Elizabeth, to your father, what would you say? Okay. I accept you. I'm not going to judge you for what you did. I'll understand. And I love you.
I'm not bitter. You've chosen your life, and that's what you have. And I have to accept that. And I also accept you as you are. But it doesn't necessarily mean that I've got to connect with you on a level that's not comfortable to me.
So let's talk now about Cindy Kick.
I'm a superhero.
I just think a superhero coming into the schools to make a special visit to see them is what makes it so exciting. I'm taller than they are, and I'm loud, and I'm energetic, and I'm friendly.
The results of that missing father, that imaging in the mind of that child who looks at TV and sees the family, then looks at mom and says, where's my dad?
I just had a hard life, man. I had a hard life. They stopped liking each other, split up, divorced, the usual. Bye-bye, see you later. My father was the only one that really had control of me anyway. Over my mom and anybody else, he was the only one that, if he tell me do something, I'll make sure I do it. And when he left, I started doing my own thing. And when my mom tried to help me, I rebel on her because I'll be blaming her for him leaving. And then when she started kicking me out, that just did it. I was like, the world, everybody's all about me. I used to hate seeing people with stuff that I wanted, and I couldn't get it, so I used to take it.
So they go from questioning to resentment to rebellion to outright crime. All don't naturally, but too many do.
If I wasn't selling drugs, I was robbing people. If I wasn't robbing people, I was doing a lot of stuff, man. I stole cars. I got shot at. I got people stab me, try to kill me. I was angry. I wanted to, let out some steam, man. I grew up with a lot of anger, man. I used to like seeing people suffer too. I don't know. That's just how I grew up. I just gotta change now, and I'm trying. So I gotta do the next flip. I gotta move from the streets back to normal living, the right living, live life the right way.
Davon, if your dad was here right now, what would you want to say to him?
I mean, my first set of words, because I'm 18 now, you know what I'm saying? I feel like I'm a man now. I'll let him have a couple words well, you know what I'm saying?
What would you say?
I don't think you want to hear them words.
What would you say?
Well, I'll tell him about something.
If he was here right now, looking you in the eyes, what would you want him to say to you?
Show him prove, I would tell him. I won't want him to say anything. I want him to prove stuff to me now. That's all.
What do you want him to prove?
First of all, if he's sorry, he gotta prove it. I want explanations, you know what I'm saying? I'll probably tell him, bro, I want his life or something, man. He did me dirty, dude.
Do you really blame your father for a lot of what you've gone through, huh?
I ain't got nobody else to blame, man.
I say mothers love their boys and parent their daughters. Fathers love their daughters and parent their sons.
I have my father in my life. Well, he's there, but I have no relationship with him. I can't stand being in a room with him for more than 5 minutes.
You have some resentment towards him, bitterness?
Just a little bit. Okay, oh yeah.
Fathers affirm a daughter's femininity and tell her what's appropriate in a male-female relationship. A father should be a girl's first date, first kiss, first real contact with a man. And from that, she learns what's appropriate in terms of her femininity and her identity.
I've never had a relationship with a man, a healthy one. You know, a father is supposed to be there unconditionally, and I don't feel like I have a father at all.
If he was sitting here right now, looking at you, what would you want to say to him?
I don't need the words, I love you. But I need the hugs.
Do you wish things were different?
Oh, yeah. You know, homecoming, where I went to high school at, is like a huge event. And the homecoming game, it's a parade, and people who are nominated as a princess, you know, they're driven around in cars, and I was queen. He didn't want to be there. He didn't know why he was there. And he never said congratulations. At the time, I, so disconnected from how I was feeling, that the way I dealt with him was, I don't care. And for a very long time I didn't. It hasn't been until recently that I started to think about that time. That again, the anger, the resentment.
You ever told him how you feel? No?
There's just that voice inside that's telling me, he's not going to care anyway.
Do you love your dad?
Yeah.
Tell me your name.
William Bostic.
Where are you from, William?
Canarsie, Brooklyn, New York.
What's it like growing up in Brooklyn?
It's no joke. It's just like a Norman Rockwell picture.
Tell me about your relationship with your parents growing up. What was your relationship like with your father?
I had a nuclear family. I had the mother and the father right there. My father was always there for me. I never knew a day when he wasn't. And as for my mother, she's incredible. She owns an African aerobic studio. My father's a blue-collar man. Everything's real simple but real tight.
Did you see kids in your neighborhood growing up without a father?
All of my friends, I'd say 95 to 90% of my friends didn't have a nuclear family, didn't have a father that was always there. And at a young age, I didn't see the effects of it, but as I got older, I would see exactly what was going on, the chain reaction that was setting off.
What do you think were some of the things that you noticed with the kids that did not have fathers growing up?
Hope. He didn't have hope. I mean, when you out here living basically day to day, just trying to eat a meal, and you're not seeing any hope, you're not seeing that a good path is going to take me here, a good path is going to... It's a difference between money and success. A lot of brothers look for money, but they don't look for success. You know, and it's two completely different worlds, but they're both similar. And it's hard for a young man who has no hope to make the difference. You know what I'm saying? To see the contrast between the two. You know what I mean? My father always told me it ain't how much you make, it's how long you make it.
Let's talk about, as far as your father teaching you relationship-wise and how to deal with women, did you see a big difference in what you were taught versus your friends?
I saw a huge difference because when my mother and father were first getting together when I was a little boy, I saw a lot of beefing between him and her. Some kind of renaissance happened. I don't know exactly what it was. Some metamorphosis happened and he completely changed overnight. And they just stuck. They had a real cohesive bond that kept them together, where they would persevere through all the troubles that they had. And I learned a lot from that. I learned a lot about sticking power. I learned that in a relationship, you're going to have your ups and your downs. So I learned at an early age that a lot of times you're going to have ups and downs, you know, with a woman. You can't let just one argument make you want to peel off. You gotta stay there. You got to have some kind of sticking power.
What would you say to fathers that are not involved in their child's life?
A man who is not involved with his child's life, to me, is a complete savage. Because the highest form of civilization is taking care of your own. And I know a lot of brothers take that route, and they have a lot of reasons to fuel that anger. And it's not necessarily toward the kid, but they let the mother a lot of times get involved with how they feel towards the kid. You know, and a lot of times, and I'm not going to blame it just on the father. Sometimes the mothers make this a hard route. But the man has to take it upon himself to be the foundation of the family and take that responsibility. Not saying that a woman is just some feather in the wind involved in this. She's the backbone indeed. But the initiator, the strongest one in the relationship is a man, no doubt. And he got to step up the bat. It's as simple as that.
I am 17.
Okay. And what's your relationship with your family? Your brothers and sisters?
I have 3 brothers and a sister.
Okay. Tell me about your relationship with your mom and dad.
Relationship is fine. I love my mom and I love my dad. We get along fine.
Okay. Are you close to your father?
Not really. Just, yeah, close. A little bit.
A little bit?
A little bit.
What, does he spend time with you? What does he teach you?
He doesn't spend time with me. He's back at home, you know, married another woman, divorced my mom, and, you know, doesn't spend time with me.
He doesn't spend time with you? How does that make you feel that he's no longer a part of your close family?
I'm kind of sad, you know, depressed that he's not around. You know, every time I look at people with fathers, you know, I cry and tears come out my eye.
Do you get to talk to him at all? Do you see him at all?
He gives me phone calls and he sends me child support money, so yeah, we talk.
If your dad was standing here right now, what would you want to say to him?
We're worried in the past 7 years. You know, I just closed my eyes and the whole world disappeared, you know, so.
The last 7 years, he hasn't spent any time with you?
None. Haven't seen him for 7 years now.
Who's teaching you how to be a man?
My mom.
Do you find that difficult? She's a woman and she's trying to teach you about being a man?
It's difficult for a woman to teach a boy to be a man, you know. And my father should teach me to be a man, but he's not here at the moment. But I wish he was.
Okay. Is there anything that, if he was here right now, that you would want him to say to you?
I love you and I wish I was there when you needed me.
I call him an uncut diamond.
An uncut diamond?
And I keep telling him that he needs to get polished properly and cut properly, otherwise there's no value. So he is responding nicely. He's a good kid. he's great. He's been there whenever I needed him. A lot of the times when I have trouble with school, like I'm a sophomore in high school, so it's the time when like things are changing and there are a lot of stuff going on. My friends, he's always been there. He's great. He's a great role model for me. The things he's done and the way he's had to do things to get us here, it amazes me, and it's a pleasure and it's an honor to be his son. Really, that's the way I look at it.
I think children need at least three things to be competent and to reach wholeness emotionally and to reach maturity. Number one, they need to feel that they are accepted. They need to feel that they are a part of a family or of a unit that accepts them, that they don't have to qualify to belong, that they just belong, that they are loved, that they are accepted. And secondly, they need to have a sense of worthiness, that they are acceptable, that they have value within themselves as a person, that they have worth. And then thirdly, they need to feel that they have competence, that they are capable of handling this thing called life. And the first place that you learn these things is within the family unit in order to be noble, in order to be good. We've got to behave in a noble way and in a good way. To create a life and to walk away from that life is to walk away from oneself. It's more than a biological function.
Emotional fatherlessness is really splitting hairs, but they're hairs that need to be split. Why? Because children are affirmed and really strengthened when their fathers pay attention and connect with their hearts, particularly daughters during the pre-adolescent and the adolescent years.
Growing up without a father, I realized for me was something that affected me deeply in the area of not getting that approval, that attention, that acceptance from a man early on in my life. So I would do these things, you know, I'd have to run for everything and be everything to really feel like I was loved and accepted. Junior and senior class president, captain of the tennis team, co-captain of the drill team. I always had to be in something. I'm very much an overachiever, and I realized part of that has to do with not having the approval, the love, the guidance of my father. For someone who grew up with only one parent, you're missing that other side. A man and a woman come together to make a family, and there's a reason for that. And if you lack one of those parents, you're going to lack something. For me, I didn't realize until I got older that I was missing that father's side, that love from a man that told me I was beautiful as a girl growing up, and so that I would already have that self-confidence, and then I didn't need to look for it in other men. My father... That day, my father was getting ready for work, and it seemed like a normal day. He came into the bathroom where I was, and he came in and told me to tell him that I loved him. And we had actually kind of gotten into a fight that night before. Actually, he was fighting with my mom, and I tried to break it up, and he pushed me out of the way. So I wasn't very happy with him at the time. But he said, give me a kiss, tell me you love me. So reluctantly I did. And I didn't really think anything of it. But he went into the bedroom. And the next thing that I heard was a popping sound. And I ran down the hall. And I opened the door, and my father was laying there, bleeding to death. He had shot himself in the head. And my brother came running, and I tried to stop him from seeing it, and I couldn't. He went very close and saw my dad. And so I tried to send my brother to get help, and by the time the ambulance came and took him to the hospital, it was too late. He died. I couldn't believe it. It was right around Halloween time, and I thought maybe it was a joke, a gag. I mean, sometimes my father would play jokes with us, but I don't know. When I saw him bleeding, I knew it wasn't a joke. I think a daughter needs her father desperately to tell her that she's beautiful, that he loves her. I probably wouldn't have made this film if I had my father in my life the whole time.
Father is a man who is connected to his children emotionally, physically, financially, and any other LY you can think of, that he's there. He makes phone calls if he's long distance. He sends his checks regularly to say, I'm committed to you, I'm going to take care of my responsibilities. A father is all that, has the capacity, if you will, to lay down and die for his children. That's the ultimate sacrifice I think the father should be able to make, is to say, I'll die for you.
What I like about my dad. I love my dad because he buys me a lot of stuff and he cares about me. And he always plays with me at his house. And he loves me no matter what. He always takes me to see all good movies like the Rugrats because he loves me and he likes good movies.
Why is your daddy so special to you?
Because he buys me lots of presents at Christmas and I love him. I love my dad because he takes me to church.
Tell me about your relationship with your father.
I think it's great. He's been very supportive. Just trying to help me. I'm going to West Point, and at first that was a really tough decision. Should I go? Things like that, and he's just a great support on helping me, encouraging me to follow my path, whatever I choose to do. And since I've been there, he's been a great source of support for me.
If your father were here right now, what would you want to say to him?
Maybe something.
If your dad were standing here right now, what would you want to say to him?
I don't know.
Do you love him?
Yeah, like that.
So what would you say to him?
I love you, Dad. Something like that. Like, you did a lot for me.
If your dad were here right now, what would you want to say to him?
That I really love him a lot and I thank him for everything he's done.
If your dad was right here, what would you say to him?
You're cool.
Certainly, we appreciate once again Kelly Hill, the executive producer of that film, Daddy and Me, for allowing us to share that with you. Again, fathers, whoever you are, this is only to encourage, to strengthen the relationship with your child. I don't care if the child is grown. We need connection with both our mom and our father. And so we just want you to know, again, this is part 1 of a part 2 series on the importance of fathers. And if you don't see part 2, write and let us know, and we will make sure that we air the other parts so that you will see the complete picture. Once again, fathers, you are so important. You have a very important role with your child. And study and seek and be active in your child's life. It's never too late to stop. And so again, with Pamela Webb and myself, my co-host Pamela Webb, and again, those who are here on the stage with us, we will share in part 2 the importance of fathers. God bless you, and we love you, and the Lord Jesus Christ is the best one to teach you how to be the ideal dad. May you be blessed in Jesus' name. Take care.